thrilling world of the flying runner, brought to you by the Marathon Mates.
Hey there, everyone. It's Tony from the Flying Runner, and welcome to this bonus episode. Just to make sure we've got an episode coming out every week while Team Ellis and potentially myself are away. So, look, what this episode is all about, I've been doing some research because, as you know, the World Majors, the 6-star medal, is more popular than ever, which makes it harder for many people to get in. So I thought I would actually go out and do some research, because often I'll hear people talking about all these other things that you can actually do, that you can link into. And even on a previous episode, we spoke with Travis from Run the World, which is a virtual app, a virtual running program that allows you potentially to run around the world. So there are other ways that people can stay motivated on their running journey and continuing to choose the appropriate races for themselves. So I thought I'd just go in and do some research and try and find out a little bit more about some of these races and put it out here as a bonus episode, just to make sure that we've got episodes coming out. So the first one that I hear about often and that I'll see in Facebook groups is the 50 States Marathon Club Medal. Now, this is a club for people that have run a marathon in all 50 United States of America states, right? In all the states of the USA. And I'd imagine that that's quite a challenging task to go and run a marathon in all 50 states. There is no time limit from what I can see. There's a Facebook group that's got over 17,000 people on there. Their website is really quite ordinary, as what I've found is that a lot of more of the information on a lot of these things are found on Facebook as opposed to out there in the real world or with a real website. So runners who finish marathons in each of the 50 states are awarded a special medal and can celebrate membership in the 50 States Marathon Club. It's a lifelong goal for many to run a marathon in all 50 states in the USA. It allows people to explore their own country, or if they're international, of course, to explore the USA, get to see many different places and run a marathon and achieve some goals. So I think that that's quite a pertinent one, especially for our USA listeners. Another one that I hear a little bit about is the 7 Continents, right? So the 7 Continents Marathon Club Medal. And if you go online, there's a little bit of confusion because there seems to be a number of different versions, maybe definitely 2 different versions. And in fact, one of those versions is now trying to claim that it's an 8 continent marathon medal. So I can't know. I don't know if there's any official status or anything like that, but I did find it quite confusing. But basically, the challenge is to complete a marathon on each of the 7 continents. So we're talking Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Europe, North America, South America, and Oceania, right? Which, of course, is Australia. And as recognition, you get exclusive membership in the 7 Continents Marathon Club and a special medal upon completion. I would expect a special medal upon completion of that one, just quietly. It's prestigious. It's a global challenge. There's only 2 marathons run every year on the continent of Antarctica, for example. So it is quite an expensive goal to be chasing. And if you really want to, in one of the organizations, so as I said, I couldn't differentiate between the two But I know that on one of the organizations, they offer you the chance to get the Marathon Grand Slam Club, which is completing the 7 continents, as well as completing the North Pole Marathon. There is, once again, some conflicting information that says you also need to run the 50 states. So I'm guessing there's probably not too many. If that is the case, there's probably not too many Marathon Grand Slam Club members. And if they are, if they're listening to us, contact me and let me know what is the way to get the Marathon Grand Slam Club. Just between me and you, I did some research on what it costs to get to the Antarctica Marathon. And the first price I saw was about 21,000 US, which, I guess if we're an Australian and we're going to, any one of the majors that are held, whether it's in the US or in Europe, the best part of $10,000 is probably going to be gone anyway in our dollars. So I'm guessing 21,000 US, about 38,000 Australian. I'm not sure if I'm rushing out to drain my bank to go run the Antarctica Marathon just to get the 7 continents medal. But hey, I know people that really want that. So good luck. So well done. Another way that you can stay engaged is to get involved and compete within the Abbott Wanda age group world rankings. And the challenge is to score points by participating in certified marathon races within the qualifying period. And it gives you a ranking within your age group. So recognition is that the top ranked runners qualify for the Abbott World Marathon Majors Age Group Championships. And this year, for example, they will run in Sydney. Now, the appeal for this competition offers the opportunity to compete on a global scale against others in the same age group. So, a lot of people are involved in this, and I think it's a lot of, there's a number of people that are engaged or maintain their engagement with the sport of running by being part of that. So I'm not quite sure what it costs. I know I have a ranking. Nothing's ever cost me anything so far, but I haven't been asked to compete, and I'm certainly not highly ranked. So, hey, one that is of interest, and this is one that I think that a number of our friends and Team Ellis, for example, could certainly be part of. It's called the Marathon Maniacs Club. Now, the challenge here is to complete multiple marathons within a short period of time. So the two timeframes that they've got up there as an example is 2 marathons in 2 weeks or 3 marathons in 90 days. I think that 2 marathon is actually in 16 days. Once again, a little bit of conflicting information, but it looks doable based on some of the stuff that we have done. So membership in the Marathon Maniacs Club in a unique ranking system based on the number and frequency of marathons completed. So not that I'm advocating you go out there and you run a marathon each and every week, but I do know that some people within our listener group actually potentially do 3 marathons in a 3-month period. So, I was looking back on some of my times and some of the times that we have done marathons, and there were actually some times that we would have actually come pretty close to that. So I think it's a doable one if you want to be known as a marathon maniac. There's a club there, just Google search it, and I'm sure that you may find that beneficial to keep you motivated and engaged. So for runners who thrive on frequent racing, the Maniacs Club is a badge of honor for those that enjoy pushing limits with back-to-back events. So now coming on from, I wanted to keep this separate from the 7 continents that I talked about, but there is a 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And it's actually run by one of the groups that seem to claim the 7 continents as well. So the challenge here is to complete 7 marathons on 7 continents within 7 consecutive days. And it's a doozy. I actually know someone that's completed this when in my follower group in Sydney, and it's a doozy. And they were raising money for an organization, but of course, they had to raise money themselves to go out there and do this. So this is chartered plane territory. This is just incredible. Now, this is one of the most extreme marathon challenges, testing not just physical endurance, but also logistical and mental toughness. So let me just walk through what they do. So it begins at Antarctica at Novo, and is followed by marathons on consecutive days in Cape Town, Perth, Dubai, Madrid, Fortaleza, and Miami, all conducted within 168 days from start to finish. And for that, you're going to get an Intercontinental Marathon Club medal. So select few would be aiming to do that one, but we do see people actually putting that down as a bit of a bucket list series to do. So good on yous. Let's that's one I'll leave for someone else. So there's the Majestic Marathon series. It's a completing a set of themed marathon series, and you see this with things like Run Disney, for example. So you can earn special themed medals for completing multiple races within a series or specific challenge. And the one that I'll talk about is Run Disney, because I want to talk about the rock and roll series in a completely different, just a little bit later on. So you can do the Majestic Marathon series. So you can also do the Himalayan Marathon challenges. Now, the complete marathons in extreme conditions in the Himalayas, including races like the Everest Marathon and the Ladakh Marathon. Recognition is that finishers receive medals for those high altitude extreme condition races. And I'm not quite sure if that appeals to me, but if it appeals to you, it's because you want to test your limits in some of the most challenging environments on Earth at altitudes that require both physical and mental stamina. So if that's in your ball game, certainly look up the Himalayan Marathon challenges. Here in Australia, a little bit closer to home, we've got the Atlas Majors medal application. So when you complete a marathon at 4 specific events, you can obtain the Atlas 4-star. It's very closely aligned to, in terms of looks anyway, to the Abbott 6-star. And when you complete a marathon at all of Atlas events, major running festivals, so we're talking Hobart, Brisbane, Cairns, and the Sunshine Coast, it's an exclusive club, and you're eligible to receive a special medallion to celebrate your achievement. You don't have to do it in the 1 year. You can just do it over a period of time. And that is one that I would believe would be quite achievable for many people that I know. All right, let's talk about Europe, where they've got the Super Halves. And the Super Halves looks really quite keen, to be honest. It's an extraordinary running series for ordinary runners is the way it's billed. Super Halves is our way of sending you and other regular runners off on your own running adventure. Not for the headlines, not for the chance to take your place on the podium. And of course, I'm just reading from the marketing hype. Now, there's some conditions here. There's 6 races, and you have to do them in 60 months, right? So 6 races, you have to do them in 60 months. So it's one super medal. The half marathons that you have to do: Lisbon, Prague, Berlin, Copenhagen, Cardiff, and Valencia. You can complete these races in any order, but you must finish all 6 within that 60-month period, starting from the date of your first race completed. And at the end of it all, you will get the super medal. So I believe it's very, very keenly chased now in around Europe and the UK. It may not be as keen for a runner here in Australia to go through and do that, but the Super Halves is quite an interesting concept, and it's probably a little bit more affordable for people in Europe and the UK than chasing the 6-star. So that's one that's really interesting. In both North America and Australia, there's the Australian, the 100 Club, so people that have completed 100 marathons. There's many dedicated long-distance runners, and So while every single race finish is an absolute achievement, there's people out there that are quite extreme in their take up, and they've run well over 100 marathons. And for those, the opportunity to join the 100 Club. So I know there's one in North America. There's definitely one here in Australia. Membership is free and open to all runners, from seasoned veterans and distance runners to novices. And it looks actually quite a good community. People know each other there. And of course, we've had SJ on the podcast, who was a member. Let me talk about the Hall of Fame for the Rock and Roll Running Series, because this one actually sounds quite cool. So, and there's ultimately nine rock and roll series marathons or half marathons, right? So, and there's a degree of medals from what I can work out. So there's there's a medal or a category of person called the heavy medalist, right? Which sort of sits and fits with that rock and roll theme, doesn't it? But for those heavy medalists who have completed 9 or more half marathons or marathons in the same calendar year, there is the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, they call it. So the Hall of Fame. So, and that's actually something that's actually really quite interesting. So we're looking at Rock and Roll Manila, San Antonio, Arizona, Las Vegas, Washington, DC, Nashville, Madrid, San Jose, and San Diego. So if you've got desire to go and chase 9 of them in a year, uh, I'm not quite sure how it works if you can actually do the half and the marathon at an event at the same day, but that might be interesting. You could do 4 of them or 5 of them and just do a backup event. But yeah, quite interesting. If you want to be part of the Hall of Fame of the Rock and Roll Series, there's another little challenge that you can set yourself. So one I found really interesting. Now, I don't know if this is still going because of the fact that the updated page that I saw was from 2017. And of course, we all know what happened in 2020. But this was called the 5 Oceans Challenge. And if anyone knows about this, please let me know if it's still available for people. There are 5 ocean marathons: the Atlantic Ocean Marathon and Half Marathon, the Arctic Ocean Marathon and Half Marathon, the Pacific Ocean Marathon and Half Marathon, the Indian Ocean Marathon and Half Marathon, and the Southern Ocean Marathon and Half Marathon. And now there's a certain order that you've got to do, because you can't run the Southern Ocean Marathon until you've completed 2 of the other 4. So there is a little bit of an order. And just so that you can understand how this works, all races will be run aboard some of the world's best and biggest cruise ships. So you're running a marathon on a cruise ship out in the middle of an ocean. And if that's something that rocks your boat, go see if it's still a relevant thing. So each marathon will be run at it on a day when you're at sea, so that you can ensure that you can enjoy each port of call. So if the 5 Oceans Challenge is something that sounds exciting for you, well, go for it. So, hey, this is another Australian one. I don't know how long this has been going, but I do know it's planned for next year in 2025, and it's what they're calling Australia's mightiest ultra marathon. It's called the Bravehearts 777 Marathon, starting June 30 to July 6. And join the mighty. And there's a couple of ways that you can run this. So you can run it with all 7 marathons. There's 7 marathons in 7 states in 7 days. That's the whole premise behind the 777. And if you want to, you can sign up and you can do all 7 in 7 days in 7 states. So it's founded in 2013. So the Braveheart 777 Marathon. It's the only marathon event of its kind in Australia, and it's supporting the vital work of Bravehearts. So now you can do the whole lot, or you can just run it as in one of these races, or you can just do it in one that's closest to you and still support Braveheart. So it starts at Perth on Monday, the 30th of June, Adelaide is the Tuesday, the 1st of July. Melbourne is Wednesday, the 2nd of July. Hobart is the 3rd of July. Sydney is the Friday, the 4th of July. Canberra is Saturday, the 5th of July. Gold Coast is the 6th of July. And of course, you can also actually do a 777 virtual marathon. So all of those things are happening. A little bit of a spelling mistake on their website that's quite noticeable. So if anyone from Bravehearts is watching, nearest, you've got an extra S in there. So just to give you the heads up, of course, but it sounds interesting. And I know that some people here in Australia may actually be interested in doing that one. So let's, yeah, so that might be something of interest. So, but the one that has really sort of piqued my interest anyway, and I'm left it to last as for a very good reason, right? It's the Impact Marathon series. And I find this one, um, if you're a purposeful runner, if you're a runner that really wants to be aware of their impact and, be purpose driven and sustainable, this one may be something that you look for. It's called the Impact Marathon series. And once again, if you did a Google search, you could find out. But what I find interesting about this, right? So each race is organized to address and support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, such as ending poverty, improving education, promoting health and well-being. So runners not only participate in the race, but also engage in community projects during their stay, creating a direct hands-on impact in their host location. In fact, the race is at the end of a week-long stay that you spend within the local community, working within like a project. So it's really quite fascinating. So, and some of the places that you can run, like Nepal Impact Marathon, the Malawi Impact Marathon, right? The Guatemala Impact Marathon, the Kenya Impact Marathon, and the Jordan Impact Marathon. So they hold these marathons in some of the developing nations of our world, and they give you the opportunity to not just run the race, and usually by the look of it, it's a trail race limited to 30 people. So just to lessen the own impact, but those 30 people work within that community for a week. So I think that's really cool. So it becomes obviously a huge celebration. It's inclusive, it's collaborative, and of course, it is an adventure and something that you're doing to help improve the world. So that might be one that I know a lot of people who really want to help out wherever they can from the sustainable needs. And the Impact Marathon series may be something that could be of something that they would want to drive. And I know that they've got races already planned for 2025, so I know it's still current. So you may want to look into that. It's not just about racing. In fact, the races are not timed, right? So that's something that's unique. And part of the process is, why would it be timed? You just enjoy the trail, just enjoy the run. So it's the combination of travel, community service, and the challenging marathon that makes it an enriching and potentially transformative experience for the people doing it. So check them out. So if you're not interested in doing the world majors or the 6-star, there's a couple of options that I've given you today. I hope that you've, at the very least, enjoyed just listening to some of those options and made you think about what it is that you can do to maintain that engagement and motivation within your running journey. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. As you know, people find it wherever you're listening, please like and leave a comment, as it does help people find the podcast. Until then, I hope to see you out there. Happy running.